So if you clicked on this video, you probably want to know if Etsy is worth selling on in 2026. And today I'm going to break down my experience of selling on the platform in 2025, what I think you can expect next year, and if I think it's worth it. So hi, I'm Daisha. If you're new here, I talk about Etsy selling for my small business. I sell bookish products for book lovers. And on this channel, I just document that process and just talk about my experience on Etsy, my day-to-day life, making content, and also making products in my small business because I produce everything here in my house. So if you're interested in any of that, please subscribe, come along with me because I've enjoyed talking about this journey. So let's support each other. I'm sure you're probably a small business too, or at least starting to think about getting into the process. So I want to talk first about how long I've been on Etsy. So it's currently December. I started Etsy in April of 2025, about mid-April. And it has been going pretty well, but I've definitely learned some things along the way. So you'll see me look back at my computer. I'm just referencing notes and making sure I'm getting data and dates correct. So I did quite a bit of research going into it. And then I've also updated the research that I did because I wanted to make sure it was still up to date. So when I got started, I saw a lot of things that said that Etsy was a great way to start selling because it helped. So basically, Etsy's already a platform that has shoppers on it. They're on the app to shop. And it's a well established app. It's a trusted platform. A lot of people go there for very specific products. So I thought this would be a good place to start versus making my own website where I would have to bring that trust and that traffic all to the place to shop myself. And I just said that as I went along, if I decided that I wanted to do my own website after I could. But for now, I was just going to start with Etsy. When you're ready to start your Etsy account, it is a $29 fee to activate your account. That is of now. And there are some other fees that go into like listing and selling, but the first upfront cost is that $29. And I remember the process of actually setting the shop up being pretty simple, but I also was setting up different accounts for different things at the same time. So some of the things overlap. But I think I remember having to use my driver's license and get on there and take a picture to prove I was who I said I was, things like that. Connecting your bank account so you can get paid, and they can also charge you if they need to, like for the $29. So those are some things that you're going to have to worry about getting started. So let's talk about those fees. So Etsy takes a 6.5% sale price off of anything that you sell in your shop. And then they also take an additional processing fee as well. And then also you have a listing fee. So every listing that you make is 20 cents. And then if you need to renew that listing, it's also 20 cents. So Etsy is definitely making money off of you selling on the platform. However, they're also bringing that traffic to you so people can shop. So as I was updating my research, just trying to see if Etsy still made the most sense for me, I realized that Shopify, you still had a monthly payment, and then there were still fees built in. And for me at this time, Etsy is still makes the most sense, but I'll talk about who it might not make sense for in a little while. Something I just wanted to add in before I forget about the listing and renewal fee. So if you do not sell a certain product within a certain window, you will have to pay another 20 cents for it to be renewed. So for instance, my annotation kits are my best seller. I've never had to renew that listing in the 8 months I've been selling, and that's because it sells consistently. Whereas I just looked this morning, my fall bookmarks, they expired, and it asked me if I wanted to renew. And I didn't because it's not fall, and I don't think there's a purpose in it. But if you get a sale, it will push that renewal date out further. And if it's something that's not selling, you'll have to renew it to keep it as an active listing. So going back to my account, when I first started, I was already posting book content on Instagram and TikTok a little bit. And I already had around 17,000 followers. So I did have a bit of a following starting out, but you do not have to have a following to get started. I just wanted to share that information to explain my quick success at the beginning, but it didn't stay that way. So the first day of my shop, I posted that it was live on my Instagram and put the link in my stories or in my bio. And that brought a lot of traffic that I brought to Etsy for people to check out. So the days after that, the hype of me, talking about it kind of died down. And after that, I was more reliant on Etsy to bring those sales to me. As of now, this moment, Etsy is bringing 59% of the traffic to my shop, and then I'm bringing the other 41. So the traffic that I'm bringing includes social media, like sharing links, and also ads. So even though they're Etsy ads, it's still saying it's what I brought because I paid for it. And then for Etsy, the traffic that, I don't know, where did the sun come from? In terms of what Etsy brought, they're considering like people just organically finding me on the Etsy apps and Etsy's other pages from Etsy search. So like typing in annotation kits and me popping up, and then also marketing and SEO, which I really don't know how that's different from Etsy search. So I just clicked on it. It looks like that actually comes from Google. So I know Etsy uses offsite ads, so maybe that's what it is. Okay, yeah. I just updated it because I had set it on a window earlier to only look at April and May, just to be able to talk about the beginning. But it says that 747 visits came from Google, around 11, so nothing came from Bing. I didn't know people still use Bing. Some from YouTube. So it's really cool because it does show you the breakdown of where things came from. But just in conclusion of that part, they're Etsy's making their money back, but it's like you're paying for their service of what they're doing. So yes, they're taking part of the profit that you would make off your product. However, would you have sold that product without Etsy's help? That's the question. And for me, the answer has mostly been no. So Etsy makes sense in that way. Another thing that I make sure I use, like on social media, I make sure to use the save and share link. So the save and share link actually is a link that Etsy provides for you. You have to opt into it though, it's not automatic. If someone uses that link to get to the product, Etsy takes a smaller percentage of the transaction fee. So that's more money in your pocket versus them taking it from you because they know for sure that you brought that traffic directly to Etsy. And of course, they want people on Etsy to shop. So, like I said, setting up the account isn't too hard. I think I'm going to make another video going through like the listing process and like what the interface looks like because I think that could be intimidating. It's very like the listing process is very tedious, and there's a lot of things that's like, well, what does this mean, or what does this mean? So I may do a walkthrough of me setting up a listing, but it's not too hard. It's just one of those things that takes a while. But if you have multiple things that are similar, like my annotation kits. After I made one, I can hit make a copy of that exact listing and then just change the words to whatever it needs to be to fit the new product and then just switch out the pictures. So I would say like listing on there isn't as hard. One thing you don't have on Etsy that you would have like with your own website is the ability to really customize your store and make it your own. So like Etsy, of course, you have like your banner, you have your icon image for like your logo or your picture or whatever you want to use. But if you had your own website, you could completely customize the interface and make it exactly what you want it. However, I think there is a way to pay for like Etsy Plus that will let you do more customizations, but I don't pay for that. So, another topic that is definitely controversial, and that would be ads. So, of course, ads would be paying Etsy additional money to do more marketing for you. As I mentioned earlier about the traffic that I brought to Etsy, I do pay for ads. I'm currently paying $17 a day for ads. And the way ads work is you only pay if someone clicks on the item. So it's not automatically taking $17. It's if someone clicked on it that day. So earlier I looked and the clicks are way down today. I've only spent $5 and it's around 2 o'clock p.m. So that's low for today, but typically it does spend the $17. But there are days that it comes in under. And at first I was very much against Etsy ads, and then I was just kind of neutral. But I've definitely seen a need for them, or not even a need, but realizing how much money I would have been leaving on the table if I had not been using ads, seeing how much of my revenue has come from those ads. So I think I this month I made $1,135, and that's revenue from ads. and I've spent $495. So I've spent around half of the revenue price paying for ads. However, I would not have made that almost $1,200 if I had not spent the money on ads, if that makes sense. What I've noticed is a lot of my customers are returning customers. And sometimes it just takes that initial sale from an ad to potentially turn somebody into a returning buyer. So that's been really cool getting to see like the data of, because it'll tell you if, first of all, it'll tell you if they came from an ad. You'll be able to see who it was. And then you can see like if they're a return buyer, if they bought from you before. So it's cool to see that being able to convert. So it is money up front. I do think it's beneficial for business owners, especially if you're trying to ramp up the traffic you're bringing. Now, if this is more of a hobby, you're not trying to really create another income. Like if this is just like a selling platform, like you need somewhere to put your things, then maybe you don't want to run ads. But if you were trying to build a business and promote it and really get it out there, I do think ads are worth it. But there are people that sell without them. So I don't know. If you're already an Etsy seller, please let me know below. What do you think about ads? Do you like them? Have you used them? I will say that a lot of things that I've read and research that I've done says that it could take 30 days for you to be able to see the effect of ads. And I think that can be daunting for someone starting out, especially before you've made any money, because it's like you're putting all your faith into this and it's just spending money. And if you're not making it, that could definitely be frustrating. And I think that was my issue at the beginning. But like I said, I just trusted the process. Well, my husband trusted the process and we stuck to it and it worked. And there was even one time we were doing great at $15 a day, bumped it up to 20 and everything tanked. So sometimes like changing things is, a risk. Um, so yeah, I think you just have to look at what your business is, where you are, and if that makes sense for you. And if it doesn't, no worries. You just might have to do something different to be able to bring that traffic in. An issue that some sellers have that luckily I haven't is just IP complaints, stores getting shut down, things like that. And they say some people say that Etsy's very hard and nitpicky in that way. So just being cautious of what you're selling, things like that. But I've also heard of people saying that it was for no reason. But I can't speak too much to that because I haven't had that issue. One issue that I have had that I think is annoying is just spam. So when I first started selling, I got a message from a potential buyer and I was so excited. And then I clicked on it and I'm like, wait, where did my message go? So then I thought I was missing out on something. I thought someone was trying to contact me and I could not find it anywhere. And it turned out it was a scam message and Etsy automatically had moved it to like a spam folder, but they didn't tell me. So then I was thinking that I was missing something. And that actually happened a couple of times. So I don't know if that just happens like to new shops because it hasn't happened in a while. So I don't know if it's just like a scam kind of thing to like try to trick somebody new that probably doesn't know any better. Um, but yeah, if somebody's messaging you saying like your account's getting shut down on Etsy, there's a good chance it's a scam. Unless you get an email from Etsy, then your shop might be getting shut down. Do I think selling on Etsy is worth it? And who do I think it's worth it for? Overall, yes, I do think it's worth it. Like I said, I think the pros outweigh the cons or any of the negative things that I've heard or even dealt with from Etsy. Sometimes when I see the fees, I'm like, oh my gosh. However, I think overall, I was going to have fees no matter where I sold, unless like you literally build your own website full out. And I don't have the time or the know how to do that at this point. So Etsy has just been the option that makes the most sense for me now. And I will say that I did some additional research and it was saying that basically, it was saying that if you are under making $10,000 a year, say on Etsy, if you're making between $10,000 and $20,000 a year, it might be a good idea to do both Etsy and Shopify. And if you're making over $20,000 a year, to strictly use Shopify. So because I don't fall in that higher category, Yeah, fingers crossed, I will be staying on Etsy. So I think just looking at the amount of money and the amount of profit that you're making and figuring out which one makes the most sense for you. If you have a really large social media following, maybe going the Shopify route would make more sense for you because you have the ability to bring in a lot of traffic. I do have a decent sized following, but my TikTok following is very small. I've just started out on YouTube, so it's pretty small too. So it would be just putting all of my eggs in the basket of Instagram and hoping nothing ever happens where I couldn't post on Instagram. Due to that, Etsy makes the most sense. I've also started using like Pinterest marketing um, because what I do is a very aesthetic, bookish niche. Posting on Instagram made a lot of sense because I feel like that's the place you go to get inspired and to see those like really pretty things. Um, so just playing around with what works. And I'm really excited just for this next year of because last year when at this point last year I had no idea I was starting a business. In February last year, I don't think I had any idea I was starting a business. So just to watch how I've grown since then and all the things that I've learned, I'm excited to go into 2026 already knowing like the trajectory and like what I want to accomplish. And I think one of my next videos is going to be sitting down and just building out my goals and some systems of how I'm going to reach those goals and just being more prepared next year because there are definitely some things that I wish I had done better. And if I'd been more prepared, I would have known more of what I should have been doing, if that makes sense. Let me know, what do you think? Are you going to be selling on Etsy? Are you starting a new business? I'd love to talk to you down below. Like I said earlier, if you like this video or this kind of content, subscribe, like, just come along for the journey. Also, let me know if you're interested in me making a video on just maybe like doing photos and how I do a listing, um, because I do have some listings I probably need to make. All right, I hope you're having a good day or night or wherever you are, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.